17 edition of the NFL Contest Show. I'm your host, Jesse Flynn. Well, we're almost to the finish line. Only 2 weeks left in the NFL season, and it is coming down to the wire in the Circa Millions contest. Last week, I ended up going 3-2. I did end up making some alterations to the card from the picks that I gave out in the video. I did post it in my blog and in the comments below. But in the end, I ended up with the same record I would have had I went with the original picks over the ones that I ended up swapping out. But so with the 3-2 week, my record right now is 50, 29, and 1. Has me tied for 80th place, but well within striking distance of the money, as I think the top 10 is only separated by 2.5 points from where I am right now. So with 2 weeks to go, plenty of opportunity to move up in the standings and get myself in one of those paid positions, but certainly have to think outside the box a little bit. It's time to do, play a little bit more of a strategic plan with my picks this week, and still try to go 5-0, but just try to stay away from those consensus picks and try to give myself an opportunity to score a point on games where maybe other people may not be looking and potentially not lose one. If I do happen to pick a consensus pick that doesn't win, like last week with Arizona, where a majority of the top people in the contest had that pick. So whether it won or lost, there was no real gaining or separation with the leaders. So with 2 weeks to go, it's definitely strategy time. So I've got my 5 picks for Week 17. So let's get into it and see which ones I like for this week. So the first game that I like is the Tennessee Titans -3 at home taking on the Miami Dolphins. This Tennessee Titans team, they just can't get any respect. They're -3, in the contest. I believe it's actually moved to -3.5 at the Circa, even though Miami is getting a large amount of the money right now and a large amount of the bets. So there's been some reverse line movement with this number. The Tennessee Titans, they just, they're like the Rodney Dangerfield of football. They've beaten all the best teams. They've beaten all the teams that are going into the playoffs, and yet nobody wants to give them any respect because they've suffered a lot of injuries throughout the year, and they had, that losing streak where they lost 3 in a row, and everybody wanted to count them out when Derrick Henry got hurt. And yet, Mike Vrabel has just kept this team composed. The defense plays well enough. They're opportunistic with turnovers. And, Ryan Tannehill, he has his ups and downs, but he's not a terrible quarterback. And he gives this team an opportunity to win. His mobility certainly makes him a little bit more of a weapon for his team. He certainly showed that last week where he scrambled for a couple of first downs to help secure that win. And I just think that Miami Dolphins, on the other hand, they're getting a lot too much credit for this win streak that they've been on. As good as it's been compared to how they started the season, they really haven't beaten any decent competition. All the teams that they've beat have been below 500, and last week they beat the Saints, but with a rookie quarterback making his first start with really no weapons to help him on the offensive side of the ball. And a lot of defensive guys out with COVID, and still that game was tight. The Dolphins' offense, they're dink and dunk. They don't really have any, they don't really go for the explosive plays. They don't run the ball very well, and I just don't think they're going to be able to put up enough points to win this game. I think Tennessee will be able to run the ball on Miami. I don't think the blitz is going to affect Tannehill in the way it has with some of these young rookie quarterbacks and some of the lesser quarterbacks that Miami's faced over this win streak. And I just think that Tennessee, they're going to come out and win this game because they also know that they're fighting for that bye week in the playoffs that would give them home field advantage and potentially give them the opportunity to get Derrick Henry back off his injury to help them in their playoff run towards the Super Bowl. So with all those factors, and I just don't think this is going to be a very popular side in the contest. I think a lot of people, if they do pick this game, they're going to take Miami with the points. So I just think it's an opportunity to try to steal a point on a game that I don't think will be in the consensus. So for my first pick, Give me the Tennessee Titans -3. So the second game that I like is the Tampa Bay Bucs -12.5 going on the road to take on the Jets. This is the time of year when Tom Brady really starts to lock in. I think he's going to have this team sharp and ready to go. I know a lot of people aren't really wanting to bet Tampa Bay because they've suffered a few injuries on the offensive side of the ball, and they've had some guys out with COVID on the defensive side of the ball. But this team is they're on three different levels. The Jets are at the bottom level of the NFL, and the Bucs are at the very top level. They're not even in the middle. They're at the very top. And I just think this is a terrible matchup for the Jets. They really have no reason to try to win this game. They've got a lot of guys. They've actually got some few guys back from the COVID list that were out last week, but I don't think it's really going to matter against this Tampa Bay team. Their offense is they're too dynamic. The Jets secondary is really bad. Tom Brady, he really exploits bad secondaries like this. We saw what he did last week against the Carolina Panthers secondary that's, a lot better than the one he's about to face this week. And the Jets, I just don't know where the offense is going to come from going up against this stout Tampa Bay run defense. So they're not going to be able to run the ball. I don't know, how they expect Zach Wilson to, get any time to pass when we know that they're not going to really respect the run and they're not going to respect the pass. They're just going to come after them. They're going to put pressure on them and try to make this young quarterback make reads really fast in the passing game, and that leads to turnovers, and that's where I could see the Bucs getting enough points to get separation. And with this big number, this 12.5, it's a big number to be laying, particularly on the road. But this is the time of year when good teams separate themselves from bad teams, and that's why we have so many lines that are so high this week. And I just think that this is one of those games where arguably one of the best teams in the NFL is going to show why they are one of the best teams in the NFL. And I also think, again, this is not going to be a very popular game in the contest because people don't really like laying big numbers at all, and they really don't like laying big numbers in the contest. They like to avoid these type of games. So I just think it's a good spot for me. So for my second pick, give me Tampa Bay -12.5. So the third game that I like is the Cincinnati Bengals +5 at home taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. I just think that this is a side that's not going to be very popular in the contest. I think a lot of people are going to see Kansas City -5, less than a touchdown, and they're just going to assume that, with the role that they've been on, I think they've covered their last 5 or 6 games on the spread, that they're just going to continue to ride that wave. And I just think that Cincinnati, they've got a real shot to win this game. If they do, it's going to be an over type of game. It's going to be a shootout. It'll be 35-31, that type of score where, last team with the ball wins the game type of thing. But I believe that Cincinnati's got the offense to put up points against this Kansas City defense. It's just a matter of, how good the Cincinnati's defense does against Kansas City. And we've seen Kansas City get slowed down, I think they have to take a page out of something like what Bill Belichick's done, where you just don't give up the big shot and make them earn it, make them work the ball down the field, and just, try to see if you can get them to make a mistake. But I just think that Kansas City's got a good shot at winning this game. You're giving me +5 at home. I don't think this is going to be a very popular side in the contest, so I believe it's given me an opportunity for a leverage spot. And, I think they've got an opportunity to win this game. So with it being 5 points, there's just, I don't know, it's a good opportunity to try to, again, steal a point in a game where most people are just assuming that they're going to take Kansas City. So I just see this as an opportunity for me to gain an extra point in the contest, and I'm going to take it. I've also got Cincinnati 50-1 to win the Super Bowl, so it wouldn't help to, get them to secure their division title and a home field game in the playoffs. So, I definitely have that on my mind that I'd like to see Cincinnati to win this game. So I'm just going to go with it and, hope it works out. This is the last 2 weeks of the contest. So these are the games that, are the times when you have to take some risks. And I think Cincinnati's a good enough team that they can compete with KC, and they're getting points at home. I just think this is a good spot. So for my third pick, give me the Cincinnati Bengals +5. So the next game that I like is the Philadelphia Eagles -3.5 heading down to Washington to take on the football team. This is a division rivalry game. We saw the Philadelphia Eagles. They won the first matchup of these two teams earlier in the season. They won by 10 points, even though they had 3 turnovers and the Washington football team didn't have any. So, I think if the way Philadelphia is playing right now, if they clean up the game and they don't have that many turnovers, I just don't think Washington's going to be able to match up with them. I think Philly will be able to run the ball. They've been doing that pretty well. We know Sanders is out, but it looks like Howard should be in. I'm keeping an eye on their running back situation. This could certainly change if they're missing their top 2 running backs. But, with Washington, there's a lot of dysfunction going on with that game or with that team. We saw that last week, and now they're eliminated from the playoffs, so they really only have one thing to play for, and that's to be a spoiler. And if, Philadelphia's running the ball on them in this game and, it gets down to the third, fourth quarter and Philly's got the lead and they've been getting pounded all game, we could certainly see this Washington team throw in the towel and, just call it a season and say, they gave it a shot, but, they had no real reason to compete anymore. So I just think that this is a good spot for Philadelphia as long as they've got their running backs, and I think Jalen Hurts will be able to throw the ball. He's been looking a lot better as a quarterback as they've gotten him more comfortable with being a starter because, face it, he's still just a rookie even though he was drafted last year. We know he only played a few games at the end of the year. So this is basically still a rookie season for him. So as a rookie quarterback, we saw him progress pretty well against, NFL caliber defenses. So I just think that with all the nonsense that's going on with Washington and the fact that Philadelphia is really competing for a playoff spot and they've actually found an identity and the coach is, getting the team to buy in and the defense has been playing okay. The special teams is playing okay. I just think that this is a good spot for Philadelphia to cement themselves a chance in the playoffs and get this victory. And it's only -3.5. I know a lot of people are going to see the home team getting over a field goal, and I just think that Washington's still getting a lot of credit for that win streak they had coming out of the bye, but we've seen that they were kind of riding the wave, and now that wave's crashed, and now we're just seeing this team start to fall apart, and I just don't think that they don't have anything left to compete for anymore. So I think they're going to throw in the towel, and I think Philadelphia is going to win this game by at least 7 points. So with it only being 3.5, for my fourth pick, give me the Philadelphia Eagles -3.5. So the last game that I like is the San Francisco 49ers -12.5 at home taking on the Houston Texans. Now, this game is kind of predicated on whether or not Jimmy G is going to play and how he looks in practices. But if he's going to play, I still kind of like it if it's Trey Lance because I think this game is going to be more about the run game. Because the Houston Texans are not, their defense has been playing okay, but they're not very good against the run. And we know that the San Francisco 49ers and Kyle Shanahan, they can definitely scheme up a good run game, and they've got the weapons to exploit it. And, with Deebo Samuel and Kittles and Ayuk, Trey Lance, if he is the starting quarterback, should still have a decent game. He looked a little rough at the beginning of the year, but now he's gotten his feet wet. He's had more time to practice, throughout the season. He's gotten some reps, in the live games, so he's not coming in as nervous as he probably was earlier in the season. And, now he's got more weapons to help him with Kittle being back, with Samuel being healthy, with Ayuk being there, with the run game hitting. And, he's a mobile quarterback, so it adds an extra element to what Kyle Shanahan can do with the offense for San Francisco. My only concern is, will they be able to put up enough points to cover this big number? Houston, we've seen Mills. He's looking like he's going to be a middle of the pack quarterback. He's only a rookie also, and he's shown that he's at least willing to throw the ball down the field and stand in the pocket. So that's a good thing. You see a lot of these quarterbacks, they get gun shy and they start running around. They're not looking to throw the ball anymore. So he's at least being looks like he's got a little bit of a future with Houston, but I just don't see where the playmakers are on offense for him. Cooks was hurt. They're getting rid of some of their offensive players, running backs. The offensive line's banged up. The defense has been banged up. Special teams is hit or miss with this team. And I just don't know how the offense is going to get points on this San Francisco defense, because the defensive front for San Francisco is definitely going to get after the quarterback, and they can stop the run. So I just don't know where Houston's going to get the points. But again, it's just a big number. It's 12.5. So I'm still kind of up in the air on whether or not I want to go with this game or not. But as of right now, I'm definitely leaning towards it. If there is any changes on this one, I'll definitely put it in the comments with the video and also add it in the blog. But I just think San Francisco's got a lot to play for as well. If they win this game, I think they're in the playoffs as long as they can win next week, or depending on who wins or loses next week, they might still be in. So they've got a lot to play for in this game, and I think they're going to come out. They're going to compete really hard, and you're going to see the best version of this San Francisco offense, regardless of which quarterback is playing. So I just like this spot here for San Francisco to get the outright win, and if I think they win, I got to think they're going to cover, even though this is a pretty big number. So for my fifth pick, give me the San Francisco 49ers minus 12.5. So those are my 5 picks for Week 17 of the Circa Millions contest. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I hope everybody's having a wonderful holiday. Hopefully you're having a great New Year's. Be safe. Be smart if you're going out. I hope everybody makes a lot of money on this Week 17 of the NFL slate. Let's enjoy this football while we got it, and thanks for watching.